Jokic tied an all-time NBA record. He did not score 30. 27 points, 12 rebounds, 16 assists, the 221st career triple-double of his life, tying Russell Westbrook for the most ever regular season and playoffs combined. Aaron Gordon did not play. Denver was facing elimination. The Wolves were up 3-1. The Nuggets won by 12. Jokic's line was 27, 12, and 16. The headline number is the 27. The headline number is wrong. This is the story of how an all-time record fell on a Tuesday night in an elimination game on a night the player who tied it had to pass the ball more than he had to shoot it. Let's start with what Minnesota built this series. Through games 1 through 4, the Wolves ran a defensive scheme designed around one assumption: Aaron Gordon would be on the floor. Gordon is the closer on Denver's most run action, the Murray-Jokic high pick and roll with Gordon as the dive man and the weak side cutter. Every half-court possession in this series, the Wolves loaded the second defender to Jamal Murray on the dribble. They trusted Gordon's defender to recover late. They forced Jokic to score from the post or beat them from outside. That coverage worked. Minnesota won 3 of the first 4 games. They built a 3-1 lead. The film said they had figured Denver out. Then Aaron Gordon did not dress for Game 5. The action that the Wolves had spent 4 games defending no longer existed for one night. Denver could not run their bread-and-butter set, so they pivoted. The pick and roll became a Jokic-Murray 2-man game with no third action. Murray drove the rim. Jokic flashed to the elbow. The Wolves' load coverage, the same load coverage that worked in games 1 through 4, was now defending an action it had not seen before. A defense built to solve a 4-man problem cannot solve a 2-man one in the same scheme. The math does not transfer. The load defender is now late on the rotation because the man he is rotating to is no longer a corner shooter. The man he is rotating to is Nikola Jokic, 14 feet from the rim, with the ball with 1 beat to choose. Minnesota walked into Game 5 with a defense built to stop a screen they would never see. Aaron Gordon was in a suit. Denver ran a different action. The chalkboard the Wolves studied was not the chalkboard they had to defend. This is what the chalkboard looked like in Game 5. Murray brings the ball up. He runs a high screen with Jokic at the top of the key. Minnesota's load defender, the man assigned to the corner shooter, leaves his man and second defends Murray on the dribble. Standard load coverage. 3 games of film said this works. Jokic short rolls to the elbow. Murray finds him with a pocket pass. Jokic catches with 1 beat to read. The corner is open. The load defender is 42 feet from the man he was supposed to recover to. Skip pass, cross court, wide open 3. That sequence happened on 3 different defensive looks in Game 5. 2-man blitz on Murray, short roll skip to the corner, drop coverage with weak side help, pocket pass to the cutter, switch with a smaller defender on Jokic, post-up draw, kick to the wing. The short roll catch is the hardest read in basketball. The big catches the ball 14 feet from the rim with a defender already committed, 2 more rotating, and 0.4 of a second to choose between 4 passes and 1 shot. Jokic is the best short roll reader alive. With Gordon, he reads to the dive man. Without Gordon, the dive man is gone. The read becomes weak side. Cross-court skip to the corner shooter, or pocket pass to the cutter, or finish himself. Minnesota's load defender on Murray cannot recover to the corner in time. The geometry will not bend that fast. The Wolves' defensive math says load on Murray, trust the rotation. Jokic's pass arrives before the rotation does. Every time. 16 assists are not lucky. 16 assists are a defensive geometry that cannot bend fast enough. The all-time record was not made in the post. It was made above the free throw line with 1 beat of a passing read against a coverage that could not be in 2 places at once. 221 career triple-doubles, tied by passing the ball. A triple-double is usually a usage stat. A player has the ball enough to score, rebound, and assist. 27, 12, 16 is not a usage stat. It is a coverage stat. Jokic's 16 assists came against 3 different defensive looks. 2-man blitz on Murray, drop coverage with weak side help, switch with a smaller defender on Jokic. The Wolves did not run the same coverage twice in a row in the second half. None of them stopped him. The 2-man blitz is the same coverage Minnesota ran in games 1 through 4. Against a 4-man action with Gordon on the weak side, it forced Denver into uncomfortable post entries. Against a 2-man action with no Gordon, the same coverage left the corner 3 open every time. The drop with weak side help is a different coverage. The big sits below the free throw line. The on-ball defender goes under the screen. Jokic gets the ball at the elbow with no pressure. He has time to read. He has time to find the cutter. The switch is the third coverage. Minnesota tried it twice in the second half, both times in late clock situations. Jokic posts up the smaller defender. The help comes. He kicks to the wing kicks to the corner. The wing corner action produced 2 of his 16 assists. 3 coverages, 3 reads, 16 assists. The win matters less than the receipt. The receipt is the line. The line is what tied Westbrook. And the line was not produced in a vacuum. It was produced against an elite defensive team that had 3 games of film and could not solve the inversion of an action they had already seen. Minnesota goes home with a chance to close the series at home. Denver goes home with a record book entry that will not move for a long time. Here is the question the data is forcing. Tying an all-time record in an elimination game is not a scoring story, it is a coverage story. The Wolves built a defense to stop a 4-man action. Aaron Gordon did not play. The 4-man action did not happen. The 2-man action that replaced it produced 16 assists and a record book. The honest steel man, and we have to take it seriously, sounds like this. Minnesota is still up 3-2. They have home court for Game 6. Anthony Edwards will hunt Jokic in the pick and roll the way he did in Games 1 through 4. Denver cannot win 3 straight elimination games against an elite defense. Jokic's tying triple-double is a milestone, not a turning point. The Wolves close at home and the record-tying line becomes a footnote in a series win. That is the book Chris Finch will sell to the Minnesota locker room before Game 6. On its own terms, it is reasonable. The problem is that the math does not change in Game 6. Aaron Gordon's status is the only variable that moves Minnesota's coverage menu. If Gordon plays, the Wolves get their load to Murray scheme back and the 4-man action returns. If Gordon does not play, the Wolves face the same 2-man inversion they could not solve on Tuesday, at home, in front of a louder crowd, against a quarterback who has now tied an all-time record and will not be quieter for it. Minnesota does not have a third coverage. They have load to Murray. They have switch. They tried both. Jokic read both. Game 6 will look like Game 5 if the personnel matches. The series leverage is no longer about who wins. It is about who has a scheme left. So here is the verdict. An all-time record fell on Tuesday in an elimination game on a night the player who tied it was not even the leading scorer for stretches of the second half. The Wolves had 4 games of film. They had home court math. They had the better seed. None of it mattered when Aaron Gordon did not play and the chalkboard inverted itself. 16 assists is what a defense looks like when it has loaded to the wrong man for one too many possessions. There were 3 reads on the chalkboard in Game 5. Read 1, the short roll skip, catch at the elbow, pass to the open corner. The load defender is too far to recover. Read 2, the weak side closeout pass, post draw, kick to the wing kicks again. The defense's weight is on the wrong foot. Read 3, the post flash kick, catch 14 feet out, read the help, score or kick. The defender that switches is the wrong size. 3 reads, one night, 221 career triple-doubles, the most ever by anyone in the history of the league. Russell Westbrook held that record alone. Nikola Jokic tied it on a Tuesday night in an elimination game on a night his screen partner did not dress. Game 6 is in Minneapolis Thursday night. The Wolves have home court and the lead in the series. The Nuggets have a record book entry and 1 elimination game already in their pocket. Aaron Gordon's status is the only variable that moves the chalkboard. The rest is decided. If Gordon plays, the load coverage comes back. If Gordon does not play, 16 assists comes back. The chalkboard answers Thursday. Next episode of Chalk Tactics, we go inside the league's most counterintuitive defensive trend and ask whether it is sustainable or whether it has already been solved. Until then,